What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Today I've got for you 3 of the best entitled parent stories I've ever come across. So if you're ready, sit back, relax, and let's get into them. Karen doesn't want to share a table with me at a busy coffee shop. So yesterday, a Sunday, I decided to get up early and go get myself organized. Me, now I'm a 23-year-old female, and my partner, a 26-year-old male, are in the middle of sorting out our flat. And I needed to pick up some bits from Argos, a UK shop, and the pet store for my cat. My partner was working. I live in a fairly large city near a retail park and stupidly didn't check the Sunday opening hours for the shops. So I got there at about 9:45 AM and most of the shops didn't open till 10:30. So I found a Costa, which is a cafe shop in the UK. I don't know if they have them in America, maybe they do, and decided to have some breakfast and a drink until the shops actually opened. When I got there, the place was pretty dead and there was only me and 2 other people in there. The table layout was only in groups of 4, so I sat myself down and just played on my phone for a bit. It turns out there's a little kids workshop that goes on every Sunday nearby, so whilst I was sitting there, it got very busy very fast. Soon there was nowhere to sit down. I'd nearly finished my drink, but it was still only 10:15 AM, and as it was freezing, I didn't fancy standing outside the shop until it opened. The queue was quite long at this point, with maybe 20 people or so in line. I noticed a lady, Karen, talking to her husband and looking at me. She was maybe 15th in line. They had a little kid with them, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Karen made a beeline for my table with the little kid in tow. "Excuse me, do you mind moving so we can sit down? You guys are more than welcome to sit with me. I'm just waiting for Argos to open in 10 minutes and I'll be off then." "No, you need to move. We want this table to ourselves. You're finished with your drink, so it's unfair of you to hog the table. I'm leaving in literally 10 minutes. I don't want to wait outside in the freezing cold. You're more than welcome to share with me till then. By the time your husband's ordered and got your drinks, I'll have left anyway." But then Karen raises her voice at me. "No, you need to move now. I have a kid that needs to sit down and you're being selfish." Her screeching had alerted one of the baristas, who came over and asked if everything was okay. "She has finished her drink and won't move so we can sit down. Tell her she has to leave." I took a pointed sip of my coffee at this point to emphasize I wasn't actually done yet. The barista said, "Miss, she still is drinking her drink and she is a paying customer as well. She has a right to sit here." He looked at me. "Do you mind sharing your table?" I went to say that I'd already offered, but Karen cut over me. "I don't want to share the freaking table with her. She needs to leave." "This is a family establishment. I suggest you stop swearing and shouting, and either share a table with someone or leave." "Fine, I'll leave and I'll tell everyone not to come here." She storms off, grabbing her husband. The barista rolled his eyes at me and went back to the counter. A minute later, a young mother came over and asked if her kid could sit down with me while she ordered drinks. I said yes. I spent 5 minutes playing with the kid, and by the time the young mother came back, I was packing up my bits to go, and they got a nice table to themselves just by being nice. Oh yeah, I can't believe this story. I'll be honest, when I first read this title, I thought the story would be a little bit different. I thought it would be you going into a coffee shop, it being really busy, and you asking the Karen to sit on her table and her saying no, which in my opinion would be pretty bad as well. If there's no space, yeah, you should let people sit at your table. But I didn't realize that you would offer someone to sit at your table and they would say no because they want it all to themselves, forcing you to move. What? I also love that Karen said, "Fine, I'll leave and I'll tell everyone not to come here." I imagine that made a massive dent into Costa's market. I mean, just look at this. Just last year, Costa made $1.344 billion in revenue. Yeah. Karen, I don't think that barista really cares about what you have to say, really. Moving on to our second story. For once, the daughter is actually an angel at a mall. Weird, I know. So this happened on Sunday, the 23rd of February, and it's got me very, very, very annoyed. I went to a mall that's near my house with my friend, who we'll call Jake, and he is an actual legend. He's always been there for me no matter what. He is amazing. Anyways, I was wearing a Colorado Rams hoodie, which is extremely warm, important for later, and a Volcom t-shirt with a pair of ripped jeans, a beanie, fingerless gloves, and a ring that extends over my finger. Hot topic. So, Jake and I ride ripsticks a ton, and we decide to ride them there, and when we get there is when the fun starts. Yay. We ride up to the doors and jump off, picking up our ripsticks and walking inside, when a little girl, SG, comes up to us and looks at our boards and says, "Wow, those are cool. Can you ride them?" I nodded and hopped on mine to show her, and she oohed with delight, which got the attention of her mother, Mama Bear. "Excuse me?" Oh man, I hate that voice. It's like metal silverware on china. Horrid. This entitled mum comes storming over and I jump off my board, quickly picking it up as I see her going to grab it. "Mom, this is my board and you cannot take it. That's theft," I say. "Well, you aren't even supposed supposed to ride indoors anyways, much less have one of those. You were obviously trying to get my daughter to get on it so you could steal her. I mean, what the heck? That's got to be one of the most stupid sentences I've ever read out. Which is a stupid accusation because, well, I'll link a photo of one to show you. There's absolutely no space whatsoever for two people. Yep, I mean, as you can see here, there's really no room for more than one person. Also, it's only a one-person device. It wouldn't work with two people. Jake and I just both started laughing, and I said, yeah, like that would even work. The entitled mother said, you need to get out of this mall because I am the manager. Sure, Jake said. Karen turned manager. What have we come to? We both laughed again and walked off with a fuming entitled mum watching us go. Oh, you thought this story ends here? So did I. We were both wrong. Later on, Jake and I were buying ourselves vans from a place we'll call Sumi's. I was buying the rainbow vans, aka the gay vans, and Jake was buying a pair that were like mine, just black and white. I had taken off my hoodie because I was sweating, and guess who walks up behind us in line? Mama Bear and her sweet girl. The entitled mum notices my vans and makes a disgusted noise and says to her daughter, ugh, gays are diseases, they should be killed. Oh no she didn't, no she freaking didn't. I turned around right after Jake did to see Jake getting in her face and saying very quietly, don't you dare say that ever. I will personally beat the ever-living trash out of you, you female dog. Leave us the frick alone. As I said, Jake is a legend. I give her the middle finger and turn back around when I hear, young man, cover up your scars. I will not have you showing those to my innocent baby. As I said earlier, I have some serious problems and I cut myself a lot. Sad to say, but it's true, and I have some seriously gnarly scars lining my arm. At this point, we had had enough, and so had the cashier, and the cashier said, Mom, I'm going to have to ask you to leave for harassing these two customers. The entitled mum literally threw a fit, like a 3-year-old, and sat down on the floor, arms crossed, red face, wailing like a banshee. The cashier unclipped a walkie-talkie and spoke into it and said, hey, can we get security to Sumi's? Thanks. About a minute later, 2 security officers arrive and walk straight up to the cashier, and they talk for a second. Afterwards, they turn around, pick the entitled mum up, and literally carry her out of the door. The sweet girl turns to us and says a quick sorry and leaves after her mother. After that, we just walked around for a bit and left. Happy ending, I guess. Thanks for reading my anger, and also, if you have any negative comments about gays or anything, keep them to yourself, please. I don't want or need that. Yeah, very good point. In truth, LGBTQ plus people aren't diseases, but Karens definitely are. Let's be honest, guys, it doesn't get much worse than this Karen. Yeah, I just do not want to run into someone like this in my entire life if I can help it. Moving on to our third story, never tell a cashier what they can and can't do. So, for some background, I work in retail chain. Most of the time, I work behind the till, mostly for 8 hours at a time. Now, recently, the government has been cracking down on items, knives, cigarettes, lighters, etc., being sold to people underage. In our store, it is company policy to ask for ID on these said items if they look underage. Side note, if it was found out that I had sold an item to an underage person, I would lose my job and have an Side note, if it was found out that I had sold an item to an underage person, I would lose my job and have an investigation done by the police, looking at a criminal record if they found reason. I am not losing my job over lighters. I am still in school and need the money. So to the entitlement. It was a regular day in the store, the tills were extremely busy and the store was making big bucks. It was around Christmas. So a customer had just finished paying and was leaving while I called for the next customer. This typical looking adult wannabe teen girl came up to my till with a few things and set them down on the conveyor belt. I began scanning her things and then I scanned the lighters. The way our system works is that when something is scanned that needs ID, the screen goes red and informs me that the customer needs to produce ID. It even gives you the date they should be born to be of age to buy the item. So I keep scanning the rest of her items. Company policy in case there's any more ID'd goods. I get to the end of her items and then the conversation begins. Excuse me, mom, do you have any ID on you? What do I need ID for? It's for the lighters, they're age restricted. If you have ID with you, I can check it on the system and you can purchase them. Well, I don't have any ID on me. Can you not just let it go? I am over 18. For context, this woman had so much makeup on that I really couldn't tell what age she was, but to me, she didn't seem old enough. Sorry mom, I need to verify your age to make the purchase. By this stage, my till had a big line and the whole situation was starting to become a big scene. This is where it starts to get interesting. I'm over 18, let me take my lighters. No ID, no lighters. You've already scanned it through. You can't take something out that has already been scanned. Never tell a cashier what they can and can't do. I looked back at my computer. The woman at this point smirks, thinking she's won. I turn the computer around to face her and look her dead in the eye as I click the big red button that says no ID and the lighters disappear from the list. Her mouth drops and her face goes red. I then, in my best retail voice, ask, will you be paying cash or card? The woman explodes and shouts at me with a lot of swearing, not even gonna dignify what she said. One thing she said was, my son will not have any lighters now, I hope you're happy. Wait, hang on a second, so not only could she be under 18, she's buying lighters for her son. What? Now guys, I may be wrong here, but usually sons are younger than their mothers, aren't they? So I'm not really sure this makes any sense. If anything, she's just proved that what she's doing is illegal. With that, she left without all her items and her lighters. I told my manager after and he said I was doing my job, so I'm not in the wrong. But this is not the end. On my next shift, I get called into the manager's office and I'm told that this woman complained to the head office of the retail chain about me. She told them I verbally abused her and that she was seriously offended and wants to get the police involved. It turns out the woman was 20, so she could have bought the lighters if she had brought ID. My manager tells me all of this smiling, but he still has the biggest bombshell to drop. Okay, just quickly, why is she buying lighters for her son if she's 20? After he received the phone call from head of office, they asked for the CCTV footage. My manager watched over the footage and heard everything, and I mean everything. Her last line before she left was of particular interest. It turned out that this woman did have a son, but her son was most certainly not 18. Yeah, that's my point. So to cut a long story short, this woman is under investigation by the police for child abuse, and if found guilty is looking at jail time. There we go. Okay, that makes more sense now. For future reference, bring your ID everywhere you go. Alright, the first point I want to make about this story is one that I've already said already. So she is 20 years old. That means her son can be maximum what, 4, 5, maybe years old? Why is she buying a lighter for her 4-year-old son? What is that? Secondly, despite all the entitlement, what I admire most is the way you handle the situation, OP. You just did absolutely everything perfectly. Well done. And finally, yeah, you are absolutely right. Bring your ID everywhere you go. I'm 21 now, which is 3 years above the legal age to buy pretty much everything I think in the UK, but I still get ID'd a lot of the time. Just think about it from the shop's perspective. If they sell something to a minor that they shouldn't have done, they can get into a lot of trouble if caught. They're just being careful. If anything, this woman should take getting ID'd as a compliment. It shows that she looks younger than she really is. Anyway guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, don't worry, there's more out there. Check out the playlist on screen right away to binge watch all of my Entitled Parents videos. There's a lot to get through if you haven't seen them yet. With that all being said, remember to subscribe to the channel as we move closer to 400,000 subscribers, and stay tuned for another video same time tomorrow.